What's good, fam? It's your boy Royalty Trades. Let's do a little Thursday recap. Take a look at some of the stuff in the market. Take a look at some of the tickers that y'all asked me to look at and see if we can make some sense of what's going on here. First thing that I'm gonna go ahead and look at is SPY and see how much damage was done today. I know last time that we went over this, well, yesterday, we took a look at the SPY and I talked about it being a false breakout today and possibly going back and retesting earlier levels within the week. So that's what we've seen a lot of today. Right off the rip, we got a big bearish engulfing candle right here. And it just took back all the gains that we had from yesterday and then retested around last week's support level. So as you can see, is setting us up for big consolidated moves at this moment, between 540 and this 554 level. Some of this had to do with the pre-market data that we had to have come out this morning, and then some of it just had to do with having poor earnings and supply levels that we had from last week. So if we zoom in a little bit, all right. So I talked about us having this gap right here, and then it using that as support and continuing to push above since it broke out of this level here. These two patterns right here, here, and here, it gapped above and used this as support level to trade up into our supply zones that we had right there. If you don't know what a supply zone is, it's pretty much when the market gaps up or gaps down and it creates this green box or this red box. So this is supply or resistance. And what happened yesterday was once we gapped up, we traded to this trend line here. And since it is a supply zone, it kind of consolidated here because this is all resistance. For some reason, investors sold off the following day. Maybe the market was too stagnant and it wanted to give it a little movement. So sometimes it'll sell off a gap up to kind of get it out of that pressure zone that it's been trading in over the past couple of days. Something just pushes it to move. In this case, it was AMD had some movement and then it pushed um, the rest of the semiconductors, NVIDIA, and a couple others up the following day. So what did I say might happen? We could push up and retest these higher supply levels between 560 and 564, or we can consolidate within these levels. And if it doesn't have enough steam, it's going to go back and retest earlier levels and possibly fill this gap to the downside like it did today. So if you watched the last video, shouldn't be no surprise. That was an expected move. That's why learning market structure and candlesticks is very important before you go and slap a whole bunch of indicators on your charts. You learn how to do the basics, the preschool of trading. It'll take you a long way. So what we saw today was this consolidated move. Once it figured out that it wasn't gonna have enough momentum to push, the market went ahead and sold off and flushed and eventually filled this gap all the way to the downside and recovered here at about 540.85. So we briefly, and y'all bear with me, my allergies are kind of fucked up, but we briefly broke below that 540.85 level and came down to about 539.40, which is higher than our previous levels here, and here, and tried to break back above and push back into this demand level here. Um, we went into close and then we had earnings for Amazon and earnings for Apple. Um, Apple, I think it went up a little bit pre-market. Well, not pre-market, after earnings. And let's see where it closed. Check my phone real quick and look on Webull. So it closed at 219.65. So it closed up here, which that is, let's see, I'm gonna mark it 219.65, closed right there. So it's almost back into this demand level here in an attempt to trade back up. So open tomorrow, this is gonna act as resistance, but it can continue making higher highs until it breaks and builds above here. This will be our support levels. Since we're trading here, we'll use this trend here as live support, and we'll start looking at this penny here. So right now, this is what you can expect the trend to hold here. And we'll start looking at probably this 219.65 level and probably like probably 219, 218.50 maybe as support too. And I'll use this range up here. Matter of fact, we'll just make it easy and take this consolidated zone here and this consolidated zone here. So we can expect the price range to bounce anywhere within this consolidated range here. And if we break above this trend, this rising trend here, and then we start holding, we can expect for it to trade up and consolidate in this range here. Like I said, it possibly can shoot back down and bounce back and forth in between here, but that's just what we have to see. We do have a supply gap above between 231 and 234, and that's probably back when Apple was just going crazy. Yeah, every day it was making another leg up and another leg up and another leg up, and it finally just ran out of steam around here and gapped down. So that's how we probably can see Apple play out over the next week or two between this 218 and 225 range. We break out above, we'll adjust that accordingly and look for this level up here to be touched. But right now we're just gonna play with what's given and see if we can catch the trend on this one too. I mean, it's a possibility that we drop down here, but I don't know. It's possible. Let me see. One, two. This is the third leg down, and stocks normally drop down in three legs. So I think this might be the time for it to make kind of maybe a U-line recovery and kind of form like a, I don't know, a consolidation here and then another push up to go see if we can retest them higher levels. We just have to kind of see what the rest of the market is gonna do tomorrow. Um, First ticker that somebody asked me to look at was Hood. I haven't looked at this in a while, but I guess some of my trend levels are still intact. It does have some gaps, and looks like this is an old This is an old resistance level turn support all the way over here. But let's go ahead and update it and see if we can get some new market structure going on here. So I'll clear this stuff out. That was a nasty sell-off once it broke that trend right there, looked like. Let's do this. So it has earnings coming up on the 7th. Should be interesting. That's one trend. Um, let's take this second one here, which it looked like it just briefly broke. Zoom in a little bit more so we can get a little more detail. And folks, this is all I do when I'm finding plays. All I'm pretty much doing is going through and finding the bigger trends that actually matter. I'm not big on 5 minutes and 10 minute, 15, all that. I go on the daily chart and I find my levels on there and then trade based off of that on the smaller frames. So majority on the hourlies. So this is what it looks like so far. It's possible it can bounce up. It can make some type of move down here, and then try to bounce back up, or this is a consolidated zone, or you can see it, break here, and then retest up here, and then come back down and retest that level, and finally make another move down. Normally what you see on one side of the chart, you can go and you can kind of mirror it on the other side. As you can see, it's two scenarios it can play out. It just depends on where the market is at the time, what the sentiment is, what Robinhood has going on. This earnings is probably going to play a big part into this move right here, or it can cause it to flush. We don't know. Here's a little gap that's right here. And sometimes earnings can be good and the stock will fall just so investors can fill these quick little gaps and buy good companies at crazy low prices. So if we turn this back on, we do have a gap right here, which, like I said, that's a possibility it gets filled. And it's going to have to break this structure to find, it looked like the other would be right there. And that'll allow for that gap to get filled to the downside. And that's just going to have to be a drastic move. But it can happen. But that'll just have to be a drastic move for it to fill it down here that quick. Like it's going to have to make a straight just drop. So it could be a gradual back and forth. This was made back in February. So, it might trade sideways and finally decide to change market structure and just make a downtrend until it fills. You never know, but the best thing to do is already have your chart drawn out to the best of your ability so you can be able to navigate it at the pace that you want. So right now, this is what we're looking like on the hood. Get rid of some of these lines. But right now, I always say that the market is designed to go back up. So you'll want to look for support between 1822 and 1765. You'll want to look for support if we happen to continue to drop because it's already trying to break that structure. Now, just because the structure is broken don't mean that it's going to go down to that range. It just could be, you know, like today, the market was just in weakness. So this just happened to fall with it. It can build back within this trend here and then start building the uptrend back and go and see if it can make another run up. So we briefly broken, which it'll push it down to 1750 around here, but you just have to see what's going to happen. Um, Pivot accordingly. Don't try to play too ahead of the time. And if you're playing options, if this is something that you invest in long term, or you want to play options, don't try and do a 1 week call. Take some time out, 60 days, 90 days. I mean, this price action is fairly low, so you should be able to take longer expirated calls with lesser amount of money. It shouldn't cost you no thousands of dollars, probably just a couple hundred. Invest it, watch it grow. If you like the company, watch it grow. So that's hood. It broke structure right here around 2030. We'll just have to watch it, see if it falls down somewhere around 18 to 1775, because we'll be looking at this consolidated level and see if this is going to act as support here and make the move back up, or like I said, earnings around the corner. If it's not too good or they not saying something right, we could see this break and come down and start pushing down here towards this 13 range. So just keep an eye out, see how the structure plays out, and go from there. The next stock is Qualcomm. Qualcomm just had earnings, and I was already watching it. I like semiconductors. So right now, this is what we have. They actually beat both ways. So a look on the daily chart, it actually hit my first level of support, which was 161.07. So at the moment, this is the chart that I like. These are the trends that I like. So if it breaks below this 159 level, I'll try to find a next trend. Sometimes it doesn't have one. You just gotta let it play out until a bottom gets found or it recovers back on your last trend. But it briefly touched that 161 level. So right now, going into tomorrow, we just want to see. I would like to see a little bit more weakness and a stronger bounce back up. Lets me know that investors like this level. If we get a push up and then a later retest, we could consolidate a little bit longer. But knowing that tomorrow's Friday, if we come down here, it tries this level and then immediately gets bounced back up and make a V-shaped recovery into tomorrow, I'm definitely liking this, and I think this would be a good stock to go with leap contracts, or at least out of January. I just bought on a leap contract call for on this dip today, and I have another opportunity if it continues to fall tomorrow to buy. one more, and I'm just gonna average down on that, because I think it's a good company. Probably the same thing that we'll be able to do with Amazon, but right now, since it's such a dramatic sell-off after earnings, it was briefly up till about 190s, but when we opened around here, ran up a little bit, then it just sold off. Like I said, the whole market followed the bearish sentiment. Even oil sold off. So I don't really have much at these levels for Qualcomm. Just watch for this 158, 159 levels to hold, and we'll see if we can build back up above this 170 range and see if we can get some more action here. But I would definitely try long dated calls if we test this level tomorrow and see how that carries on. So as this develops, we can go back and give a little bit more data on it, trends. But for right now, since it's such a steep sell-off, you don't want to give it too much resistance. I can mark probably this here and probably right there. I don't like steep sell-offs like that. Like I like nice, well-proportioned, corresponding candlestick angles. So right now we can kind of see, um, we can see resistance around here. Not even really resistance. We can see consolidation around here, and that's still a good move from 160 all the way up to 183. That's a good move. You got a gap down right here, and that was a gap up. So this is a level of demand already, which is why it's so dramatically sold off after earnings. So we could see a nice pushback up toward this 183 range. You just got to give it some time, probably about 2 weeks time for it to let the dust settle and then start to drive its way back up. So between 160, you can expect to see some movement up to this 180 range, 182, 183. This is kind of one. And we zoom out, we can see some consolidation around here, but I mean, look how close they are. Between here and here, that's not much room in between. It's probably like a $3 difference. So we see this hold up. You see a sharp move back up into these short consolidation. Watch for the break above 175, and then we can go up and retest this 183 levels in this second pattern. So that's what we're looking like on Qualcomm. It's a semiconductor. I love them. Let's let's go long on that one. MSTR, bro. These crypto stocks been crazy. One day they up, one day they down. It just depends on what Bitcoin is doing that following day. All right, so MSTR, MicroStrategy. They had earnings today along with Coin. Red on both. Looked like they was red on both last time and missed, but of course, if Bitcoin's still running, it's gonna run along with it. So it's big. It has some big consolidated moves right off top. Right off top, it has big consolidated moves. I think the person I was talking to, I had told you that it was attempting a gap fill down to 418, that was an immediate thing that I saw. So we could see this thing move down before coming back within that consolidated zone. We charted out. That's one. This would be another one. Um, Probably here. Okay. So nothing's too crazy. There's the uptrends, the resistance. It's like that. It's nothing really fancy. So we can zoom in here. As you see, we'll get that gap fill down to 418, probably push towards the mid $1,300, and we'll see a move back up eventually. Like I said, this is a big consolidated zone. It normally always get that flush outside of this consolidated zone before it pushes back up. So you see some type of support levels, right? Mm, right there before we see a move back up. Or if Bitcoin doesn't cooperate and we start dumping, we could see, and this consolidation here is very, very quick. Yeah. So if Bitcoin doesn't cooperate, we can see this, come down to the 1190 range, somewhere down to 990. See the exaggerated push down to 900 or 905 before seeing a move back up. And it's just a big pennant that is forming. Yeah. So you just have to watch Bitcoin, seeing how that's trading intraday and overnight. And then you always got to play crypto stocks one day ahead of time. So if you see a major sell off going into close, you want to take a call and expect for that move to go in the right direction within the next 2 days. So as I said, we sell off again tomorrow. You can look for calls. Don't do this, but I'm just telling you how the pattern normally plays out. But you'll see a move down here, and then midday you'll see crypto start reversing or consolidating into the weekend, and then Monday comes, and then you see like this sharp drop, and then bounce back up to retest them levels, and then move back down. So you always got to play one day ahead if you're playing crypto based stocks, just because crypto moves 24 hours. And if you don't get in that morning or midday the day before, then most of the time it's going to be too late. And the theta on those contracts for MSTR, on top of it having crazy spreads, if you're not in at the right time, it can take your money very quick. So be careful. But that's how this wants to play out if I was to chart it and come up with a game plan for it. Next one is CELH Celsius. I watched this probably about 2 months ago, and downtrend was holding it finally broke. And now that resistance, where that support just became resistance. So if we go and clean this chart up a little bit, and I actually thought about playing this uptrend, but I'm glad I didn't. earnings on the 8th. So be careful. Let's see where this trend was actually going. I drew it for some reason, but here we go. Um, we need to find where this thing is headed to, or where's the bottom at for this. This stock is crazy. All right, so looks like this is a good one. From here up to there, maybe. And damn, that's all I see right now. Okay, we'll play it if one shows itself, because you never know how dramatic this sell-off might get. So yeah, it may hit. Um, First thing you want to do, find some consolidated zones. All right, boom. So within this trend, we'll look to play this price action and mirror this over here. So it's very much well possible that we could have a dramatic just sell off going into the next couple of days or a week and see this gap down here eventually get filled. The fact that it comes down this far tells me that it's got to be another trend, and I see it right here. So we could see this come down, trade within this consolidated range. If it breaks below, we'll see this gap right here get filled down, kind of like we did with NVIDIA today. And you'll see some sideways movement come down toward this 32 range. So you just want to be careful on this one. Like I said, it does have earnings coming up on the 8th. So just be cautious. Top's way up here. So I mean, this stock has some crazy movements to the upside before. So I'm not gonna say that range isn't attainable anymore because it's very well so. But right now, just have to keep playing this to the downside. Look for some consolidation between 44, 45, and 40, and see if this trend right here holds. Well, right now, we'll make this chart kind of look like this and take away these. But yeah, you'll kind of see this range right here play out, this consolidated range. So let me change the color of these boxes. Okay, yeah, that stands out. So yeah, we could see this movement down into this 38, 39 range before trying to push back up. If it breaks below, we'll see this gap get filled down to 31.50ish before it attempts to push back up. Right now, we're gonna see a supply and demand flip right here where this was actually support before the push up. We'll see it trade back down or trade back up, and this will be a supply and demand flip, and this will be resistance. So that'll be what you'll do. That'll be what you'll watch, and you'll see these levels play out. Right now, we're gonna focus on here and here. If it breaks below, and you'll come here before pushing back up. And last but not least, actually I got two more, CCL, and then I'll do Reddit. Trying to get rid of some of these trends. So some of these lines are everywhere. Sending trends back here. So we're gonna clean this up and zoom it out. Let's see what we got so far. We have this right here. Um, we got a trend right there. And I think that's all we got for right now. Yeah. So right now it looks like it's briefly trying to break below this 1550 range. So if it does, here's your ranges for consolidation. So if it breaks below, we might can see this come down to about 1425, which would be next level support. It does, or it might have another level of support in there somewhere. They're pretty close, so yeah. So you'll see this break below here. If it does decide to sell off more towards 1425, and this is where we see a shorter level of support. It broke out. We seen another test of support right here before it pushed back up. We saw it consolidate here and make a push back up. So it just may be breaking trend to follow this bigger trend here to come down and retest before attempting to push back up again. Third try, it's probably gonna hold. So um, just have your alert set for somewhere around 1450 and make sure that this trend above $14 hold, because it could go and try to fill these levels down to 1285, which if it does, you can see that sell and consolidate here. And we just have to find the trend level that's there. And it looked like it'll be like right there. So we'll watch for support here at 1450. If it breaks below here, we can see this gap here fill and it follow up on its next trend line here at 1250, 1255. And the last chart that we got is Reddit. Of course, it IPO earlier this year, I believe. So it still doesn't have a lot of data, very volatile. First trend that I see is there. And if we break below, as you can see, this is a very sharp move up. You can see a very sharp move down too, and try to form another bottom. Earnings is around the corner, 8-6. So right now, the resistance on here is very sharp. It's almost a channel almost. I normally don't like taking resistance levels so sharply, but if it can play out, then we might make it work. All right, so here we are. The consolidation levels are it's very tight. It's between here and like here. So we can see it play out through here. But like I said, if it breaks below, then it's gonna be searching for another level of support, which could be somewhere in between here. So if it breaks this 15, no, $57 level, we could find some selling off going down to 48.80 where it could bounce here, or it could continue to come down towards 45, 44 before deciding to move back up. You just got to play it as it goes, play it accordingly. You don't have to make it hard. Just have solid support moves, find your resistance, and see how that goes. If it does decide to break above this $63 range, though, that's when you'll see a pushback up. The same way you'll see a slow recover, a slow drain down, you will see a gradual increase here once it breaks above this $65 range, and we can see it go back up and start retesting levels up around $76. So the market is in a period of shrinking the price action. We're seeing big moves up and big moves down. We're seeing one day it's gapping up, one day it's gapping down. That's normally to start shrinking the price action down for reversals. And you just have to start slowly transitioning in the opposite direction that you've been trading in. So lately we've been trading in a downward trend, and the market's been gapping in both directions. So you can start watching the price action slowly start contracting, and eventually we should start seeing more of an upside reversal going into the end of the year. It's a lot of uncertainty. Feds are still talking about rate cuts. Majority of the big earnings are already gone. So most of these won't really affect the market after hours. The ones that's coming up, so I think it's time for the market to get back on track and do its thing. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. It's not too hard. Just click the button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Uh, like I said, I'm gonna start doing this more often. I'm seeing a lot of people are getting some good readings or understanding the way that I chart a whole lot more. If you're looking to trade somewhere, like I said, tap into my Patreon, free access. I don't charge much, but if you want to become a premium member, it's $25. We got a whole spy in QQQ chat. You got Profits chat. You got a chat to where you can pretty much keep up with all my watch list plays like the ones I'm doing now. I go through and I do that in the meantime and post them for everybody to get in on and have access to that. So we laugh, we play, we keep each other in the right mind state, we hold each other up in the trading community. So um, if you have anything that you want charted, drop it in the comments or come to the Patreon, let me know. We'll talk about it there. But I'm gonna go ahead and get away from the market for a little bit. It's always good to clear your mind and get away from the market a little bit so you can come back the next day refreshed and ready to make more money. So y'all keep securing the bag. Always practice safe discipline, stop losses, profit taking. All of that matters. And as long as we do that, we'll keep getting to the money. Y'all have a good night. Your boy Road to Trades. I'm out.